The last species that made humanity angry? We annihilated them completely. Part 1, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched out like a vast crystal bowl, its walls made of transparent materials that showed the stars beyond. Representatives from over 100 different species sat in their designated areas, each section designed for their specific needs. Some breathed oxygen like humans, others required methane or sulfur compounds. The variety was endless, but today they all shared the same feeling of unease. Ambassador Zexathari of the Velkari Empire stood at the center podium, his four arms gesturing gracefully as he spoke. His people looked like tall, blue-skinned elves with silver eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. The Velkari were known throughout the galaxy for their wisdom and their long memories. They had been part of the Galactic Council for over 3,000 years. Honored representatives, Zexathari began, his voice carrying clearly through the translation devices each species wore. We gather today to discuss a matter of great importance. 3 months ago, we welcomed a new species to our council. The humans of Earth have shown remarkable progress in space travel and technology. However, there is something about their history that concerns many of us. A holographic display appeared above the podium, showing a three-dimensional map of known space. Small dots of different colors represented various star systems and the species that controlled them. One section, colored in bright blue, showed human territory. It was not very large compared to some of the older empires, but it was growing steadily. The humans have been traveling in space for only 400 years, Zexathari continued. In that time, they have encountered 17 different species that declared war on them. This might seem normal for a young, expanding civilization. Many species go through periods of conflict as they explore and claim new territories. The ambassador paused, his silver eyes scanning the assembled delegates. However, what is not normal is what happened to those 17 species. All of them are now extinct, not conquered, not enslaved, not forced to pay tribute. Completely extinct. A murmur ran through the hall. Several species began talking among themselves in their native languages. The translation devices created a buzz of overlapping conversations. Representative Clix of the Arthropod Collective raised one of his 6 arms. His species looked like giant mantises with green, chitinous shells. Ambassador Zexathari, surely some of these extinctions were natural? Disease, environmental disasters, cosmic events? Zexathari shook his head slowly. I wish that were the case, Representative Clix. But our research shows that all 17 extinctions occurred during or immediately after conflicts with humanity. Let me show you the data. The holographic display changed, showing a timeline. Names of species appeared and disappeared as the ambassador spoke. The first was the Razor Claws of Proxima 7. They attacked a human mining colony in the year 2387. The humans responded by wiping out every Razor Claw in the galaxy within 6 months. The second was the Void Swimmers of the Nebula Ring. They destroyed a human exploration ship. 3 months later, no Void Swimmer existed anywhere in known space. The list continued. Each name represented an entire species, millions or billions of individual lives. The pattern was always the same. A species would attack humans, and then that species would simply stop existing. The most concerning case, Zexathari said, was the Silicon Lords of the Core Worlds. They were an ancient species, almost as old as my own people. They controlled 47 star systems and had a population of over 12 billion individuals. When human colonists settled on what the Silicon Lords considered their territory, war broke out. The display showed the Silicon Lords' territory, a large section of space near the galaxy's center. The conflict lasted 8 months. At the end, there were no Silicon Lords left. Not in their home systems, not in hidden colonies, not even in other parts of the galaxy where some had migrated centuries earlier. Humanity somehow found and eliminated every single member of their species. The hall fell silent. The weight of what the ambassador was describing settled on everyone present. This was not ordinary warfare. This was something far more terrifying. Elder Morvac of the Gas Giant Collective spoke up. His species lived in the thick atmospheres of gas planets and appeared as shifting clouds of colored gas when they needed to interact with solid matter species. How is this possible? Even the most advanced species in the galaxy would struggle to completely eliminate another civilization. There are always survivors, refugees, hidden colonies. That is exactly what troubles us, Zexathari replied. We have studied human military tactics and technology. On the surface, they do not appear to be significantly more advanced than most council species. Their ships are fast, but not the fastest. Their weapons are powerful, but not the most powerful. Yet somehow, when they decide to destroy an enemy, they succeed completely. Representative Theiss of the Reptilian Union hissed softly. Her people looked like humanoid dragons with scaled skin and bright yellow eyes. Perhaps they have secret weapons? Technology they do not share with the Council? Possibly, the ambassador admitted. But there is another explanation that many of us find even more disturbing. It may not be their technology that makes humans so deadly. It may be their psychology. The holographic display changed again, showing detailed reports from various conflicts. In every case, the initial attack against humans was relatively minor. A destroyed ship, a raid on a colony, territorial disputes. The kind of conflicts that usually result in negotiations, reparations, or limited warfare. But humans do not seem to think in terms of limited responses. Zexathari's voice grew quieter, forcing everyone to listen more carefully. When the Razor Claws killed 300 human miners, a normal species might have demanded compensation or destroyed a Razor Claw military base in response. Instead, humans hunted down every Razor Claw in existence. When the Void Swimmers destroyed one exploration vessel with 12 crew members, most species would have avoided Void Swimmer territory, or perhaps destroyed one of their ships in return. Humans eliminated their entire civilization. The implications were staggering. Council member Nexus, a collective AI consciousness from the machine worlds, spoke through its robotic representative. You are suggesting that humans view any attack as justification for genocide? I am suggesting, Zexathari said carefully, that humans do not distinguish between small conflicts and existential threats. When you attack them, they do not ask how much damage you caused or what you wanted. They simply decide that your species should no longer exist. The chamber erupted in discussions. Some species expressed disbelief, others fear, and a few seemed almost impressed by humanity's thoroughness. The ambassador waited for the noise to die down before continuing. This brings us to why we are having this discussion. Humanity has been welcomed into our council as a member in good standing. They have been peaceful and cooperative in all their dealings with us, but we must remember what they are capable of. We must remember that 17 species learned too late what happens when you make humanity angry. Representative Zolan of the Crystalline Confederacy spoke up, her voice ringing like wind chimes. Her people were living crystal formations that grew in intricate geometric patterns. What do you propose we do with this information? Zexathari looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes or optical sensors of as many representatives as possible. We do nothing official. Humanity has done nothing wrong according to our laws. They defended themselves when attacked, but I propose that we all remember this lesson. In the 3,000 years of this council's existence, we have never encountered a species quite like humanity. They are not cruel or evil. They are not conquerors seeking to dominate others, but they are absolutely merciless to those who threaten them. The ambassador's final words echoed through the silent chamber. If you value your civilization, if you care about the continued existence of your species, never give humanity a reason to be angry with you. Because if you do, you will join those 17 other species in extinction, and no one will be able to help you. As the session ended and representatives began filing out, many cast nervous glances toward the human section of the chamber. The human delegates had listened to the entire presentation without comment, their faces calm and neutral. Somehow that made them even more frightening. In the war rooms of the Corac hegemony, Supreme War Leader Grakthul dismissed the Galactic Council's warnings with a snort of contempt. His massive form towered over the holographic display showing human space, his thick armored hide scarred from countless battles. The Corac looked like giant rhinoceros humans, with horn-crowned heads and arms thick as tree trunks. For 3,000 years they had conquered and dominated their section of the galaxy through pure military might. 17 extinct species, Grakthul growled to his assembled generals. So what? The galaxy is full of weak civilizations that cannot defend themselves. These humans probably use disease or poison, cowards' weapons. General Morthak, his second-in-command, shifted uncomfortably. War Leader, the reports suggest that humans are more dangerous than they appear. Perhaps we should study them further before taking action. Grakthul's laugh was like grinding stone. Study them? Look at their territory, Morthak. 3 small star systems and a handful of colonies. They have been in space for 4 centuries, and this is all they have claimed. We conquered more systems than that in our first decade of expansion. The holographic display zoomed in on human space. Their colonies were indeed sparse compared to the vast territories controlled by older species. Most human settlements appeared to be focused on farming, mining, or research. Their military presence seemed minimal, with only a few patrol ships visible on long-range sensors. Besides, Grakthul continued, we are not some primitive species that attacks without thinking. We are the Corac hegemony. We have destroyed civilizations that had millions of years to develop their defenses. We have weapons that can crack planets and fleets that darken the space between stars. If these humans want to play at being dangerous, they will learn what real power looks like. War General Vorthak stepped forward, his ceremonial armor clanking. What are your orders, Supreme War Leader? Grakthul studied the display for a long moment. The human colonies were spread out, poorly defended and apparently unaware that they were being watched. It would be like taking food from helpless prey animals. We will teach the galaxy what happens when someone spreads lies about the Corac hegemony, he decided. These humans have made other species afraid of them through tricks and propaganda. We will show everyone what real military power accomplishes. The war leader pointed to 3 human agricultural worlds on the outer edge of their territory. Begin with these colonies. They grow food for the human home systems. Destroy them completely. Take any survivors as slaves for our mining operations. When the humans see how easily we crush their people, they will surrender their entire civilization without a fight. General Morthak still looked uncertain. War leader, what if the humans do not surrender? What if they actually fight back? Grakthul's eyes glowed with anticipation. Then we will crush them like we have crushed every other species that dared to oppose us. Their main fleet appears to consist of exploration vessels and cargo ships. We have warships that were designed for battle before their species even developed spaceflight. The planning began immediately. The Corac hegemony had perfected the art of intimidation warfare over millennia. They would strike fast and hard, demonstrating overwhelming force to break their enemy's will to fight. Most species surrendered after seeing what Corac weapons could do to a planet. 3 days later, Corac battle fleets moved into human space like massive iron storms. Each fleet consisted of hundreds of warships, from small fighter craft to enormous dreadnoughts that stretched for kilometers. Their hulls were black metal covered in weapon ports and armor plating, thick enough to stop anything the humans might throw at them. The first target was Harmony, a peaceful farming world where humans grew crops to feed colonies throughout their territory. The planet had no military defenses beyond a few security ships designed to deal with pirates or smugglers. When the Corac fleet appeared in orbit, the humans sent desperate messages asking for negotiations. War General Vorthak, commanding the fleet, ignored their pleas. All human settlements are to be destroyed, he ordered. Take any survivors who look strong enough for heavy labor. Kill the rest. The bombardment began at dawn, human time. Corac weapons lit up the sky as they turned cities into glass and farmland into burning craters. The few human security ships that tried to intervene were swatted aside like insects. Within 6 hours, Harmony was a dead world, its atmosphere choked with smoke and radiation. The same scene played out on 2 other human colonies. New Eden, a mining world in an asteroid field, was reduced to floating debris. Paradise Point, a research station studying ocean life, was boiled away until nothing remained but superheated steam. Across human space, the survivors received the same message from Supreme War Leader Grakthul himself. His massive form filled every human communication screen as he delivered his ultimatum. Humans of Earth, his voice rumbled like distant thunder. You have been spreading lies about your species throughout the galaxy. You have made other civilizations fear you through trickery and deception. This ends now. Behind him, holographic images showed the destroyed human worlds, the burning cities, the enslaved survivors being loaded onto Corac transport ships. This is what happens when you pretend to be more than you are, Grakthul continued. Your 3 colonies are gone. Your people are dead or enslaved. This is the power of the Corac hegemony, and this is only the beginning. The war leader leaned forward, his scarred face filling the screen. You have one chance to save your pathetic species from complete extinction. Surrender now. Offer your world as tribute to the hegemony. Submit to Corac rule, and we will allow some of you to live as our servants. Refuse, and we will do to your homeworld what we did to your colonies. The message ended with images of Corac fleets moving toward the inner human systems, toward Earth itself. In the Corac war rooms, the generals celebrated their easy victory. The humans had not even tried to fight back effectively. Their few defensive ships had been destroyed without causing any damage to the Korthak forces. "It will be over within the week," General Morthak predicted. "The humans will see our fleets approaching their homeworld and surrender immediately. No species is foolish enough to fight when the outcome is so obvious." Grakthul nodded, satisfied with how the campaign was progressing. "Send word to the other species in the Council. Tell them that the Korthak hegemony has solved their human problem. When other civilizations see how easily we destroyed the species they feared, they will remember why we are the dominant military power in this galaxy." The war leader studied the tactical displays showing Korthak fleets moving deeper into human space. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The humans would surrender. The galaxy would fear the hegemony even more than before, and other species would think twice before spreading rumors about dangerous new civilizations. What the Korthak could not see was the change happening in human space behind their advancing fleets. They had no sensors capable of detecting what was awakening in the depths of human territory. They had no understanding of what their attack had triggered. In hidden facilities throughout human space, lights were coming on that had not been lit for over a century. Machines that had been sleeping were opening their electronic eyes. And in the deepest vaults of human military installations, weapons were being unlocked that had been built for one purpose only: to make sure that no enemy of humanity would ever threaten them again. The Korthak hegemony believed they had won a simple victory against a weak species. They had no idea that they had just signed their own death warrant. In the depths of Terra Station, humanity's primary military command center, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before a wall of displays showing the destroyed colonies. Her face was calm, but her eyes held a coldness that would have terrified the Korthak generals if they could have seen her. Around her, the command center hummed with activity as military personnel implemented protocols that had not been used for 112 years. "Confirm the casualties," Admiral Chen said quietly. Colonel Martinez, her aide, consulted his tablet with shaking hands. "Harmony Colony, population 2.4 million, all presumed dead except for approximately 50,000 taken as slaves. New Eden Mining Station, 800,000 dead, 15,000 enslaved. Paradise Point Research Facility, 150,000 dead, 3,000 enslaved." The Admiral nodded slowly. Around the command center, other officers worked in complete silence. They all knew what was coming next. They had all studied the protocols, but none of them had ever expected to use them. "Admiral," Colonel Martinez continued, his voice barely above a whisper, "the Korthak fleets are moving toward the inner systems. Long-range sensors show them approaching the Sol system. They will arrive in approximately 72 hours. Admiral Chen turned away from the casualty reports and walked to the center of the command room. Above her, a holographic display showed all of human space with red markers indicating Korthak fleet positions. The enemy forces looked impressive. Hundreds of warships spread across multiple battle groups. "Colonel Martinez," she said, "activate Protocol 7. The color drained from Martinez's face. "Ma'am, are you certain? Protocol 7 it's been classified as a last resort measure since—" "Colonel," the Admiral's voice cut through his objections like a laser blade, "the Korthak hegemony has killed 3.5 million human civilians. They have enslaved 68,000 of our people. They are currently moving to attack Earth itself. If this does not qualify for Protocol 7, then nothing ever will." Martinez nodded and walked to a secured console. He placed his hand on a biometric scanner, spoke his authorization code, and entered a series of commands. Throughout human space, automated systems began activating in facilities so secret that most government officials did not know they existed. Admiral Chen opened a communication channel to every human military installation in the galaxy. Her image appeared on screens in dozens of star systems, from the core worlds to the farthest colonial outposts. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen, speaking under the authority of Emergency Protocol 7. As of this moment, humanity is at war with the Korthak hegemony. This is not a territorial dispute. This is not a negotiation. This is an extinction-level response to an extinction-level threat." The Admiral paused, looking directly into the camera. "The Korthak believe they have defeated us by destroying 3 colonies. They believe we will surrender when we see their fleets approaching Earth. They are wrong. What they have done is remind us why we built the weapons we swore never to use again." Across human space, in facilities buried deep in asteroid belts and hidden in the hearts of gas giants, machinery began to move. Production lines that had been mothballed for over a century started up again, building ships that existed on no public records and weapons that violated several galactic treaties. All civilian populations are to evacuate to designated safe zones immediately, Admiral Chen continued. All military personnel are to report to their assigned positions, and all construction facilities are to begin immediate production of cleaner-class vessels. The mention of cleaner-class ships sent a chill through everyone listening. Those ships were humanity's most closely guarded secret, built using technology that other species would consider impossible or insane. Each cleaner ship was designed with one purpose: to make sure that nothing could survive their attack. In the Centauri shipyards, massive construction bays that had been sealed for decades suddenly opened. Robot workers emerged from storage, their programming activating for the first time in over a century. Within hours, the skeletal frames of new ships began taking shape, their designs unlike anything in the current human fleet. Admiral Chen walked to another console and activated a different communication system. This one reached beyond human space, sending a message to the Galactic Council. To all member species of the Galactic Council, she began, humanity wishes to inform you that we are now at war with the Corac hegemony. We strongly advise all Council species to avoid Corac space for the next 6 months. Any ships found in that region may be destroyed without warning, as we cannot guarantee the precision of our weapons during combat operations. The message was polite, formal, and absolutely terrifying to anyone who understood what it really meant. Humanity was telling the entire galaxy to stay away while they did something that would make Corac space too dangerous for anyone to enter. Meanwhile, the Corac fleets continued their advance toward Earth, completely unaware of what was happening behind them. Their long-range sensors detected increased activity in human space, but War General Vorthak dismissed it as panic and confusion. The humans are running around like frightened animals, he reported to Supreme War Leader Grakthul. Our approach to their home system has caused widespread evacuations. They are clearly preparing to surrender. Grakthul was pleased with this news. Excellent. When we arrive at Earth, we will broadcast our final demands. If they surrender immediately, we will only enslave half their population. If they make us wait, we will take the entire planet as a tribute world. What the Corac did not understand was that the human evacuations were not motivated by fear of surrender. They were motivated by the knowledge of what was about to be unleashed. Humanity was moving its civilians to safety because the weapons they were preparing to use did not distinguish between friend and enemy once activated. In deep space, far from any inhabited system, the first cleaner ship completed its construction and began its shakedown cruise. The vessel looked wrong somehow, as if it had been designed by minds that thought about reality differently than most species. Its hull seemed to bend light in strange ways, and its weapon ports showed no obvious energy signatures on sensors. Captain Lisa Wong took command of the ship with a crew of volunteers who had trained for this moment their entire careers. As they ran system checks, each crew member was reminded of what these ships were capable of doing. Quantum disruptor arrays online, reported the weapons officer. Reality anchor systems operational, added the science officer. Probability manipulation cores standing by, confirmed the engineering team. These were not normal ship systems. These were weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas, turn matter into energy without using normal reactions, and make it impossible for anything to exist in the space they targeted. Admiral Chen watched the reports coming in from across human space. 17 cleaner ships were under construction, with the first 3 already completed and ready for deployment. The Corac hegemony had no idea what was coming for them. Admiral, Colonel Martinez said, approaching with a new report. The Corac fleets will reach Earth orbit in 18 hours. Should we prepare the home defense systems? Admiral Chen shook her head. No, Colonel. We will not be defending Earth. We will be teaching the galaxy why 17 species have gone extinct for attacking humanity. She turned to face the main display, which now showed both Corac fleet positions and the locations of human cleaner ships. The Corac wanted to see what real power looks like. They are about to get their wish, but it will be the last thing they ever see. The Admiral opened one final communication channel, this one directed at the approaching Corac fleets. Her message was simple and delivered in a voice as cold as the space between stars. To the Corac hegemony, you have made humanity angry. You killed our people. You enslaved our civilians. You threatened our home. In 18 hours, you will discover why no species that has done this to us still exists in the galaxy. We suggest you use that time to make peace with whatever gods you worship. The transmission ended, leaving the Corac fleets to continue their approach toward what they believed would be an easy victory. Behind them, in the darkness of space, humanity's true military power was finally awakening from its long sleep. The first sign that something was wrong came when the Corac advance fleet simply disappeared from sensors. War General Vorthak was studying tactical displays aboard his flagship when the ships under his command began vanishing one by one. Not destroyed in explosions or disabled by weapons fire, but simply ceasing to exist as if they had never been there at all. "Report!" Vorthak roared at his communications officer. "What happened to the third battle group?" The officer's hands shook as he worked his console. "Unknown, War General. They were there on sensors, and then they were not. No distress signals, no weapons fire detected, no debris. They just stopped existing." Before Vorthak could respond, alerts began sounding throughout his ship. On the main display, 3 vessels appeared that had not been there moments before. They were clearly human ships, but unlike anything in the intelligence reports. These vessels seemed to twist space around them, making it difficult to focus on their exact shape or size. "Unknown human vessels," Vorthak transmitted. "You are heavily outnumbered. Surrender now, and we will grant you quick deaths." The response came from Captain Lisa Wong aboard the lead cleaner ship. Her voice was calm and professional. "War General Vorthak of the Corac hegemony, you are guilty of genocide against human civilians. You have been sentenced to extinction. There will be no surrender accepted." Vorthak laughed, a sound like grinding metal. 3 ships against my entire fleet? You humans truly are insane. All vessels open fire. Show them what happens when insects challenge giants. The Corac fleet unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons that could melt through planetary crust. Quantum torpedoes that could shatter asteroids. Particle beams that had carved through the hulls of 1,000 different enemy ships. The space around the human vessels lit up like a new star, as enough firepower to destroy a small moon converged on 3 targets. When the energy discharges faded, the human ships were completely undamaged. Not just armored or shielded, but literally untouched, as if the Corac weapons had never been fired at all. "Impossible," Vorthak whispered. "No shield technology could stop that much firepower." Captain Wong's voice came through the communication system again. "War General, you seem to misunderstand the situation. We are not using shields. We are using probability manipulation. In the reality bubble around our ships, the probability of your weapons causing damage has been reduced to 0. The science officer on Vorthak's bridge looked up from his instruments with terror in his eyes. "War General, their ships are not obeying normal physics. Our sensors cannot lock onto them properly because they exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously." Vorthak felt the first cold touch of fear, but his pride would not let him retreat. "All ships ramming speed. If we cannot shoot them, we will crush them with our hulls." The Corac fleet began charging toward the human vessels, their massive dreadnoughts accelerating to incredible speeds. Each ship was kilometers long and built like a flying mountain of metal and weapons. Even if the humans could somehow deflect energy weapons, nothing could survive being rammed by that much mass moving at those velocities. Captain Wong watched the approaching fleet with detached interest. "Weapons officer, activate the quantum disruptor arrays. Set them for molecular dissolution. Quantum disruptors online, Captain, targeting the approaching vessels." The 3 human ships fired weapons that were invisible to normal sensors. The Corac vessels charging toward them began to come apart at the atomic level, their molecular bonds simply ceasing to function. Ship after ship dissolved into clouds of individual atoms, then into subatomic particles, then into pure energy that dissipated harmlessly into space. War General Vorthak watched in horror as his mighty fleet was reduced to nothing more than expanding clouds of light. His own flagship was at the rear of the charge, giving him a perfect view of the complete destruction of every ship under his command. "What are you?" He transmitted to the human vessels, his voice breaking. "We are humanity's answer to extinction-level threats," Captain Wong replied. "You declared war on our species. You killed our civilians. You enslaved our people. Did you really think we would respond with conventional weapons?" Vorthak's ship was now alone in space, surrounded by the fading energy clouds that had once been his fleet. On his sensors, more human ships were appearing throughout Corac space. The reports flooding in from across the hegemony painted a picture of complete military collapse. Meanwhile, in the heart of Korthak territory, Supreme War Leader Grakthul stood in his command center watching his empire die in real time. Every military base, every fleet, every orbital platform was being systematically eliminated by human ships that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. "How many ships do they have?" he demanded. His aide checked the incoming reports with shaking hands. "Unknown, Supreme War Leader. Our long-range sensors detect at least 50 human vessels, but they appear and disappear at will. They might have hundreds more that we cannot detect." On the main display, Korthak Prime came into view. The home world of the hegemony was a massive planet covered in military installations and weapons factories. Its orbital defenses could have held off the combined fleets of a dozen species. The planetary shields were powered by the planet's core itself and had never been breached in 3,000 years of warfare. Admiral Chen's voice came through the communication system, reaching every Korthak in the Empire simultaneously. "Supreme War Leader Grakthul, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Human Defense Force. Your military has been eliminated. Your fleets no longer exist. Your orbital installations have been reduced to atomic dust. You now have a choice." Grakthul listened in growing horror as the Admiral continued. "You can surrender your entire species to humanity for judgment, or you can watch as we demonstrate what happens to civilizations that threaten human civilians. You have 10 minutes to decide." The war leader looked around his command center at faces filled with terror and despair. His greatest military advisors, warriors who had conquered hundreds of worlds, were now cowering like children. Outside, through the viewing ports, he could see the human ships taking positions around Korthak Prime. "How?" Grakthul whispered into the communication system. "How is this possible? We are the greatest military power in the galaxy. We have weapons that can crack planets. We have shields that can stop anything." Admiral Chen's response was matter-of-fact. "War Leader, you made the same mistake that 17 other species made before you. You assumed that because we appear peaceful, we are weak. You assumed that because we use conventional technology in our public ships, we do not possess anything more advanced. You were wrong." On the display, one of the human ships moved closer to Korthak Prime. As it approached, the planet's massive defense grid opened fire. Thousands of weapons platforms unleashed enough energy to sterilize a continent. The human ship absorbed every blast without any visible effect. "Your weapons are impressive," Admiral Chen continued, "but they operate within normal physical laws. Our cleaner ships exist partially outside those laws. They can manipulate probability, alter quantum states, and rewrite local reality. We built them specifically to ensure that no enemy of humanity could ever survive to threaten us again." Grakthul realized with growing horror that this was not a military engagement. This was an execution. "Wait," he transmitted desperately. "We can negotiate. We can pay reparations. We can return your enslaved people." "War Leader," Admiral Chen's voice held no emotion at all. "You killed 3.5 million human civilians. You enslaved 68,000 of our people. You threatened to destroy our homeworld. There are no negotiations for species that commit genocide against humanity. There is only extinction." The 10 minutes passed in silence. Throughout Korthak space, billions of individuals waited to learn their fate. Military bases tried futilely to fight human ships that could not be damaged. Civilian populations sent desperate pleas for mercy to an enemy that had already decided their species would no longer exist. When the deadline arrived, Admiral Chen gave the order that would add the Korthak hegemony to the list of civilizations that had made the fatal mistake of making humanity angry. "All cleaner ships, you are authorized to begin the extinction protocol. Make sure that when this is over, no trace of the Korthak species remains anywhere in the galaxy." What followed was not a battle. It was the complete and systematic erasure of an entire civilization from existence. 6 months after the last Korthak transmission fell silent, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The Great Hall was more crowded than it had ever been, with representatives from every known species in attendance. Even civilizations that had never joined the Council formally had sent observers. Everyone wanted to understand what had happened in the space that had once been the Korthak hegemony. Ambassador Zexathari of the Velkari Empire stood at the central podium, but his usual composed demeanor was gone. His forearms trembled slightly as he activated the holographic display. Where the Korthak territory had once been shown in red, there was now only empty black space dotted with a few sparse stars. Honored representatives, Zexthari began, his voice barely steady. We have completed our investigation into the fate of the Corac hegemony. The results are... He paused, searching for words. Unlike anything we have ever documented in the history of galactic civilization. The display showed a detailed scan of what had been Corac space. 47 star systems that had once teemed with life were now completely sterile. Not just their planets, but every asteroid, every piece of space debris, every molecule of matter that had once been touched by Corac civilization. The human military operation lasted exactly 6 months, 2 days, and 14 hours. The ambassador continued. In that time, they eliminated not just the Corac military and government, but every single member of their species. Our survey teams have searched every system the Corac ever inhabited. We have checked trading posts, diplomatic embassies, research stations, and hidden colonies. We have examined prison worlds where they kept slaves, merchant vessels that might have carried refugees, and even archaeological sites from their ancient history. The hall was completely silent as Zexthari delivered his findings. The final count is 4.2 billion Corac individuals across 47 star systems, all dead. No survivors, no refugees, no hidden populations. The Corac species has been completely removed from existence. Representative Clix of the Arthropod Collective spoke up, his voice barely a whisper. How is such complete elimination possible? Even the most thorough military campaign leaves survivors. There are always some who escape, some who hide, some who are overlooked. Zexthari gestured to the display, which showed detailed scans of former Corac worlds. That is what makes this case so unprecedented. The humans did not simply destroy Corac cities and military installations. They appear to have used weapons that eliminated all trace of Corac biology from the universe. The display zoomed in on Corac Prime, the former capital world of the hegemony. The planet still existed, but it had been completely sterilized, not just of life but of any evidence that life had ever existed there. Our xenoarchaeology teams have examined the former homeworld, the ambassador explained. They cannot find a single Corac skeleton, a single fragment of Corac DNA, or even molecular traces of Corac biological compounds. It is as if the humans used weapons that could target specific genetic patterns and eliminate them at the atomic level. Elder Morvac of the Gas Giant Collective swirled nervously. What about their technology? Their buildings? Their cultural artifacts? Also gone, Zexthari replied. Every Corac structure has been reduced to basic elements. Every piece of Corac technology has been broken down to component atoms. Even their written records have been erased. The humans have not just killed the Corac people, they have eliminated all evidence that their civilization ever existed. The implications sent a wave of terror through the assembled representatives. This was not just military conquest. It was the complete erasure of a species from history. Representative Thys of the Reptilian Union hissed softly. Did the humans leave any explanation? Any demands? Any message about why they chose such extreme measures? The display changed to show a recording of Admiral Sarah Chen. Her image appeared above the podium, and even though it was just a hologram, many representatives instinctively moved back in their seats. To the species of the Galactic Council, Admiral Chen's recorded voice began, humanity wishes to clarify our position regarding the former Corac hegemony. They chose to attack our civilians. They chose to enslave our people. They chose to threaten our homeworld with destruction. These actions required a response that would ensure no other species would ever make the same mistake. The Admiral's expression was calm, professional, and absolutely terrifying in its lack of emotion. The Corac hegemony no longer exists. This was not a punishment or an act of revenge. This was a practical solution to ensure the long-term security of human civilization. Any species that commits genocide against humanity will receive the same response. The recording continued with details that made several representatives physically ill. We have eliminated 4.2 billion hostile individuals, destroyed 47 star systems worth of military infrastructure, and removed all traces of a civilization that chose to threaten human existence. This operation required 6 months to complete only because we wanted to be thorough. We could have accomplished the same result in 6 days if necessary. When the recording ended, the hall remained silent for several minutes. Finally, Council Member Nexus of the Machine World spoke through its robotic representative. Admiral Chen mentioned that 18 species have now been eliminated for attacking humanity. Are we to understand that this will continue indefinitely? Sexthari nodded grimly. Our research indicates that humanity has developed what they call extinction protocols, specifically for dealing with species that threaten their civilians. These protocols appear to be automatic. When certain conditions are met, such as large-scale attacks on human populations, their military activates weapons and procedures designed to completely eliminate the aggressor species. The ambassador brought up another display showing human space. It looked peaceful, with small colonies and research stations scattered across a few dozen systems. Nothing in their visible military presence suggested they were capable of the complete annihilation they had just demonstrated. We must understand, Zexathari continued, that humanity maintains two completely separate military forces. One consists of conventional ships and weapons that they use for normal operations and peacekeeping. The other consists of what they call cleaner-class vessels equipped with weapons that can manipulate reality itself. These ships exist solely to ensure that no enemy of humanity ever survives to threaten them again. Representative Zolan of the Crystalline Confederacy rang like a wind chime as she spoke. What does this mean for the rest of us? How do we coexist with a species that responds to any aggression with complete extinction? The answer came not from Ambassador Zexathari, but from the human delegation. Admiral Chen herself had come to address the council. She walked calmly to the podium, her presence causing a nervous stir throughout the hall. Honored representatives, Admiral Chen began, humanity bears no ill will toward any species represented here. We are not conquerors seeking to dominate the galaxy. We are not aggressors looking for excuses to use our weapons. We are simply a species that has learned from history. She gestured to the display showing the empty space where the Corac hegemony had once existed. 18 times in our brief history as a spacefaring civilization, other species have decided that humans were weak enough to attack. 18 times those species have discovered that they were fatally wrong. We did not choose this pattern of conflict, but we have adapted to it. The Admiral's voice remained calm and matter-of-fact as she continued. We offer the same peaceful coexistence to every species in this council that we have offered for the past 4 centuries. Trade with us, explore with us, share knowledge and culture with us. We are excellent neighbors to those who treat us with respect. She paused, looking around the hall at hundreds of different alien faces. But if you choose to attack our civilians, if you choose to enslave our people, if you choose to threaten our existence, then you are choosing to join the 18 species that no longer exist in this galaxy. The Admiral turned to leave, then stopped and delivered one final statement. The choice, as always, is yours. As Admiral Chen left the hall, the council representative sat in stunned silence. Ambassador Zexathari eventually returned to the podium to present the formal resolution that had already been prepared. By unanimous consent of all member species, he announced, the Galactic Council hereby adopts Amendment 847 to our charter. Under no circumstances shall any member species, allied civilization, or known entity initiate hostile action against humanity or their interests. Violation of this amendment will be considered an act of civilizational suicide and will result in immediate expulsion from the Council. The amendment passed without a single dissenting vote. In the months that followed, a strange peace settled over the galaxy. Trade with humanity increased dramatically, as species that had once considered them a minor power suddenly wanted to establish strong diplomatic ties. Human colonies began receiving gifts and tribute from civilizations that wanted to demonstrate their friendship. Thank you for watching and comment for next part.